Hello, my name is Damon Friedman, co-founder and president of SOF Missions. As a 20-year veteran within special operations, I've gone through many challenges due to my military service and time in combat. We felt called to start SOF Missions to serve our fellow brothers and sisters in arms, focusing on suicide prevention and resiliency. Our mission at SOF Missions is to empower warriors to find purpose and be resilient. Since 2011, when we started the organization, almost 3 million men and women have deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. Unfortunately, the scars of war take a toll on their psychological, physical, social, and spiritual health. Many veterans feel a sense of hopelessness and a loss of purpose when they return to civilian life. They feel isolated and alone, unable to reconnect. And in the greatest of tragedies, over 20 veterans lose all hope and take their own lives. Our goal at SOF Missions is to provide veterans the tools and resources so that they don't become a statistic. We offer a unique approach to combating veteran suicide through a whole health, intradisciplinary model. The Be Resilient program is a 4-pillar methodology that addresses the areas of psychological, physical, social, and spiritual wellness. We provide care through 3 delivery methods: medical clinics, retreats, and educational training. Since we started back in 2011, we have been able to reach veterans in all 50 states and have served over 3,000 veterans through the Be Resilient program. Being resilient is a multifaceted and complex issue. We know that to find a lasting solution, we have to address the whole warrior. Many challenges cannot be solved by providing the treatments and modalities of just one component, but by tackling them all. Now, we've expanded our services to include law enforcement and first responders. Together, we can make a lasting impact in the lives of warriors across the nation. To learn more, visit our website at sofmissions.org.
Proceed to your post assignment. All units proceed to your post assignment.
All right. Welcome back.
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation. The Misfit Nation Show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, Stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation Show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_Misfit Nation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. The ToosDay crew is here, hosted by Stephen LaMonica and Jake Collin. It is a Misfit Nation production that brings powerful stories of grit, resilience, and leadership to life. Stephen is a business leader and YouTube consigliere. He ensures the show runs smoothly, providing real-time feedback and maintaining discipline during live broadcasts. Jake, a 25-year Army veteran and former EOD tech. We call him Hurt Locker. We call him Lacey. Offers deep insights from his extensive service, which includes multiple combat deployments and VIP missions around the globe. Together, they welcome guests from diverse backgrounds to share their journeys, inspiring listeners with stories of overcoming adversity and leading with purpose. Whether you're tuning in for the insightful discussions, or to enjoy Steven's passion for NASCAR, or Jake's anecdotes from his farm in Kentucky, the ToosDay crew delivers a unique blend of entertainment and inspiration every week. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ToosDay crew! All right. It's Tuesday. Today, we'll pay homage to our four brothers who we lost in Lithuania this week. They went missing from the 3rd Infantry Division in Lithuania last week when their M88 was lost in the swamp. 3 of those have been named. We'll say their names now and remember them forever. Sergeant Jose Duenes, Jr., 25 of Joliet, Illinois. Sergeant Edwin F. Franco, 25 of Glendale, California. PFC Dante D. Titano, 21 of Didedo, Guam. And we'll just pay homage to the other one. We don't have his name yet, but we'll remember him as well. Keep them in your thoughts, your prayers. Keep their families in your thoughts and prayers as they go through this insanely tough time. We as veterans understand that this could happen in training. Their families do not. So let them have your hearts, have your prayers during this time. So now, woo! It's that time again, boys and girls. The boys are back. Well, hello, April. Everyone, get your funderwear on. Pull out your aluminum foil hats. Reach up and pull down those shoulder straps. And get ready for an epic ride with Cagney, with Lacey, and now let's get it, boys.
Wow.
Good evening, Stephen. Wow.
That was one hell of an intro.
Yeah. Hey, Stephen, your buttons are crooked on your shirt.
Thank you.
It's April 1st.
I know.
Hey, I had to try, man. I had to try. Oh, how you doing? This wonderful. How you doing on this wonderful spring day?
Spring. It's 40 degrees, man.
Well, hey, flowers are blooming, trees are blooming, birds are singing.
Yeah, my knees are creaking because the rain you're going to be getting soon. I just had.
I feel you, brother. I feel you.
The old man in me is like, oh fuck! Every time I go to stand up.
I understand. How'd you enjoy your day off today?
It was good. Yeah. Ran my errands, did my things, hung out, nice quiet.
I understand. It was a pretty good day today at work. Just getting stuff ready to go on our little trip and get that taken care of and get back here to the continental United States, and we'll be good to go.
It should be a good trip.
It should be. Hey, we got an interesting guest tonight. His name is Ryan Christensen, and he is a hypnotist and author. And he focuses on getting peak mental performance and emotional resilience and life satisfaction. And he's taken his experience from the military and counterterrorism and counter-proliferation to really get into really do a deep dive and identify the core beliefs that are holding people back. And we'll probably dive into some of those core beliefs and some of the stuff he does this evening. So without any further ado, let's get Ryan in here.
Good evening, Ryan.
Well, good evening. Thank you guys for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Good evening, Ryan. I'm Jake. This is my trusty cohort Steve, and I guess we're going to talk about what you do this evening. We gave about a 2-line introduction on your biography. If you want to start from wherever you want to start and tell everybody how we got to where we are today.
That's a bit of a winding journey, to say the least. I grew up in Kansas in the 70s and 80s. Turns out I have autism, but I didn't get diagnosed until almost 48 years old. As you can imagine, that would be a rough ride because nobody had any idea what the heck was wrong with me. Right. So from a very young age, I knew the world just worked for everybody else and not for me. That's really kind of what set me on this journey. I had gave up on life young. The first time I wanted in my life was about 9 years old. And so I had to give myself a reason to live. Reading a lot of military fiction back then, sci-fi, fantasy. So that idea of like heroic sacrifice was really big for me. So the way I kept myself going for quite a long time was just like, okay, I'm going to be in service, right? Save the world, protect people. That's what led me to joining the Marine Corps, that and getting the heck out of Kansas. Did the Marine Corps thing for 5 years as a Russian linguist. Did another 6 years with the Air National Guard as doing intel support to F-16s, F-22s, drones and U-2s. And did 16 years in D.C. and counterterrorism, counter-proliferation. But unfortunately, 2020, yeah, good. 2019, 2020, I'm realizing the world does not want to be saved. And this is a problem because that's my reason to live. And so it's time to find something else to do. Right. So started doing a lot of self-improvement work and, ran into a hypnotist and work with him, really got my attention, just how much change you can make in a short period of time. So I started going down that road, been doing it ever since.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
We're all about veterans here on the show. And whereabouts in Kansas were you at?
I was in Wichita.
Wichita. I got a brother-in-law that was from Wichita, and
okay.
He liked it so much that he moved to Oklahoma. So
that's a major downgrade. I'm sorry, that's a major downgrade. Going from Kansas to Oklahoma is not an upgrade zone. That's why I'm in Austin rather than Oklahoma.
All right. All right. Well, hey, let's. Unless there's anything particular you want to talk about your military service, I got a question for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's it like going from the Corps to the Air National Guard?
Well, I feel like every Marine deserves a paid vacation after they're done. My service in the military was never really exceptional. I never really did much there. I was good at what I did, but I never deployed and just never really had a whole lot of impact there. The transition from the Marine Corps to the Air National Guard was really like they didn't have any more slots for Russian linguists that year. So I was going to have to go back to DLI and get retrained into Arabic if I want to stick in. That was not something I want to do. So after I got out, I was like, okay, let me go ahead and get into a different service. I was actually trying to get into active duty Air Force to go up to Fort Meade. That wasn't working. So they've got an Air Guard unit there in McConnell Air Force Base in Wichita that did Predator support. I'm like, okay, got his clearance. Let me go ahead and switch over to there.
Okay.
And that was fun for a bit.
Now you did maintenance support on the Predators
no intelligence support to it.
Oh, intelligence support. Okay. All right.
So targeting and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. I like that. That sounds like something that would really interest me, is the intelligence support and building target packages and figuring out what's what on the ground.
Yeah, it was on the military side. It wasn't as, we're doing a lot of ISR and targets that weren't doing a whole heck of a lot. So it wasn't that interesting or exciting, but let's just say it's a very transferable skill when I was working as a counterterrorism contractor in DC. That was a lot more interesting.
I am sure. I am sure. Well, shoot, let's dive on into it. You're an author. Let's talk about your book.
Sure. So, like 2019, 2020 is when I really started doing a lot of work on myself, trying to figure stuff out, because I realized at that point in time that if Word doesn't work for me, then I can't get what I want and need in the world. And if that's the case, and this isn't worth doing, I'm done living and I'm out. Right. So it's very much I declared jihad on my BS, really trying to figure that stuff out. I was like, I'm going to do whatever the heck I need to fix this thing. And so I went down the road and did pretty much everything in the book, therapy and cognitive behavior therapy and like spiritual retreats and energy healing and psychedelics and hypnosis and somatic stuff and breathwork, like every freaking thing you can think of. Right. And everything helped. Like everything kind of moved the ball forward, created some space, made things better. But because I'm autistic, I can't lie and pretend that better equals fixed. I can't lie. I can't pretend that the stuff isn't keeping on coming up. Right.
Yeah.
And so I had to sit down. It's like, okay, well, this stuff doesn't work the way it does. And so I have to find a solution. So I sat down and basically reverse engineered how all this stuff works. What are the limits? What can I do? What can I not do? Right? Why am I not getting the results that I wanted? And that led me deeper down the road of hypnosis, because like 90% of the problems we have are subconscious ones. It's stuff that's coming up from the subconscious that causes all the problems. So how it's being generated, it's really important. Mm-hmm. And just started digging. I'm an intelligence guy. If there's a pattern of behavior, there's something that drives it, right? Your mind knows what you're doing, knows exactly what it's trying to accomplish, knows exactly why it's necessary, knows exactly why it came about. So why the heck am I guessing? All the answers are in the back of your head.
Okay.
Right. So let me just go ahead and open up that door, go digging, show me the story. Tell me why this is necessary. And as soon as I know that, then I can go ahead and disassemble that old belief, disprove that old chain of logic, create a new one, draws a different conclusion. And the other interesting thing was in a matter of scale, right? We got a very left brain approach to things. Individual issues, individual problems, individual events, individual traumas, right? Trees. But the right side of our brain is looking at the forest perspective. It's looking at patterns over time, right? It's looking at narratives run through things. And your mind is looking at both perspectives simultaneously. Mm-hmm. So you can chop down a bunch of trees. It's not going to really change how the forest looks. So unless you address that forest perspective and those belief sets and those conclusions at that level, they keep playing out, which is why I'm not good enough as a concept keeps popping up all the time.
Okay.
Why there's something wrong with it keeps popping up all the time because you haven't fixed it on that level. But again, that came from somewhere. There's a chain of logic that created that. So why not just change that? Because if I can change I'm not good enough, then it doesn't come up again down here and I don't have to deal with it. Right. So if there's a big box in your head, a million things in the box, the label on the side says I'm not good enough. Standard approach, take stuff out, stick it in a different box. And that works. It helps. But there's a million things in there. And more stuff gets added all the time. Never ends. Healing's a lifelong journey, right?
Yes.
But there's a label on the box. So change the freaking label.
Just I'm just to kind of break it down. So if I've got a lifelong habitual issue, habit, mindset, whatever, there is something in the back of my mind, whether I know it or not, that is driving that action.
100%. 100%.
Okay. All right.
Think about this. Like your brain is the most metabolically expensive thing in your body. Right. So it's got this tendency, like just from a natural evolution standpoint, of it does not do anything that's not absolutely necessary. Right. Because it's too expensive. Right. So if you keep doing something, there's a reason for it. There's a need that's driving that. Right. If you got a pattern of thought, a pattern of behavior, there's something that's driving that. And it's absolutely necessary. If it wasn't absolutely necessary, I wouldn't bother doing it.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, so like it.
Yeah.
So like if somebody's defensive all the time, it could be because they might have got picked on all the time as a kid or, always had to defend themselves in some situation. Okay. I'm picking 100%. Up what you're putting down now.
And fundamentally, one of the biggest things your mind does is protect you from emotional pain.
Yes.
Right. So anything that's going to push those buttons and create that emotional pain is trying to protect you from. Shape your life to keep away from those buttons, kind of keep people away, that defensiveness, that avoidance, and all that kind of stuff, or the ego stuff that comes with it. Feel like you're not good enough? Great. I got to prove myself. Let me go ahead and put points on the board in one way, shape, or another. Right.
Okay.
And that's actually a driver. Right?
Yes.
Right. And so that's what the book is all about. Just kind of explaining this new perspective, this new concept, like how the mind works in this way, how things work on that level, and how you can start making these changes, these big narratives. Right.
Yeah, and it almost sounds so simple. It's a wonder people can't figure this out.
Well, here's the thing. Since every tool works, you got something that works, you kind of stop looking for anything else, right? Yeah. Dr. Gabriel Mate does a lot of work on trauma. He had this phrase, which is just brilliant. It's like, it's really easy to get addicted to something that almost works.
Yes.
Right? Because it's like you're making improvements and the idea is, I just keep going, doing this thing, then I'm going to get to where I want to be. And if the typical approach is all about emotional pain, it's all about these individual traumas, there's nothing talking about these overarching things, right? Mm-hmm. Problem is, I couldn't stop at that. I couldn't stop asking questions because it was working for me. So I had to keep digging until I found something that actually fixed me for good.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So take us through, and I don't know about everybody else. I think of hypnotism. I think of the guy on the stage and, 100%. Having a line of people up there and he makes one guy hop around on one leg like a chicken, clucking like a chicken. One guy barks like a dog, until he snaps his fingers or whatever. Yep. I know that it's a little bit deeper than that. Now, why don't you kind of, and I specifically want to approach it, if you could, from the trauma point.
Sure.
because I know a lot of police, law enforcement agencies sometimes will use this to get a victim to relive whatever it went through. So maybe they could ID a suspect or whatever, but we're talking about helping people with their problems. So kind of take us through the process of that.
Sure. So hypnosis really is just a set of tools that give us more direct access to your subconscious mind, right? And there's all kinds of ways to kind of get down there. You can use the pocket watch and the spinning wheel. I just talk to people and get them down there. It's kind of like guided meditation almost, right?
Okay.
And once you're down here, that's the art and science of it. That's the place to play, right? Stage hypnotist is basically trying to put on a show. So everyone that comes up there, he's looking in the crowd for the people that want to play the game. Right? Hypnosis is a voluntary process. You have to allow me to lead you through this thing. So I can't make you do things you don't want to do. So he's picking the people who want to play the game, who want to act ridiculous. He gets them up on stage, makes them do a couple things. Who's the people who respond and who are not? Who's playing the game and who's not? You guys are playing the game, outstanding. You're my guys. You're willing to look stupid, do stupid stuff, outstanding. We can play the game. When you're talking about things like trauma, when you're talking about things like trying to help somebody with their problems, a lot of this hypnosis work is more generative. And by generative, I mean like creating new possibilities, creating new options, creating new, breaking some of the old stories. Okay. So it's like, let me go ahead and get you in hypnosis. Let me go ahead and drop in some suggestions and some new frameworks and some new affirmations to kind of make you feel better, give you a new way of navigating things. And that helps, right? But it's not fundamentally fixing things. That's the restorative side of things. From that perspective, it's about, okay, what are these events? And not just what are the events, but what do they mean? Because the way your subconscious mind is really trying to figure out, it's like, who am I? What am I? And how does the world work? Because who I am and how I'm built and how the world works determines how I need to navigate the world to survive, to get what I need. Right. So if you got these old situations, you're growing up in an abusive household, right? And you feel like your power is so weak, you can't protect yourself. Well, that means you're going to have to navigate the world in a certain way. Right. Versus someone who's like, I'm a survivor, I'm tough, I'm resilient. Going to navigate the world very differently. And what I'm trying to find are those underlying pieces there. Got abused, powerless, weak, can't protect myself. Great. We got to change that in order to navigate the world differently. Right. Okay. And so the individual traumatic events really are just examples in your life of whatever this narrative or this problem or this pattern is. Right. I'm being defensive. Why? I went through this trauma. Great. What am I trying to do? Protect myself from emotional pain. Why? Because I can't protect myself. No wonder you're so defensive. No wonder you're so avoidant, because you can't actually protect yourself. Okay, great. Then let's find a way to reframe that into resilience. And one of the biggest things I do with the hypnosis is actually really around trauma, because the narrative is emotional pain comes from emotional wounds that are caused by emotional trauma. Just like physical pain comes from physical wounds caused by physical trauma. But there's a lot of problems with this narrative. It makes sense. A lot of work you can do with it because it's very easy to connect with somebody on that level. But if emotions are pain, then you have to avoid them. Right? Can't really engage with them.
Okay.
Right. And it triggers those survival parts of your brain. That's what drives things like suicide, like depression, like all these bad coping mechanisms, because you're trying to numb the pain. Right. And if the pain is too much and you can't escape it, out the door you go. The other thing is, if these are wounds, then every single individual event is a different thing you have to deal with. You're playing whack-a-mole, playing chopping down individual trees, taking stuff out of the box. Right. And if they're caused by trauma, that means other people make you feel things. You're not even sovereign and control of what happens in your head. You're a victim permanently. Okay. That's not good, right? So one of the things about hypnosis is you can change the way the mind processes inputs and stimulus. It's been used for pain control since the freaking beginning. The lady who taught me hypnosis gets migraines. If you know anything about migraines, there's nothing you can do. It just sucks. But she's a hypnotist. So when she gets migraines, she just goes in the back of her head, turns the dial down from 9 to 3 on the pain scale, just go back and go about her day. Right? Hypnobirthing is the thing, using hypnosis for pain control during childbirth. Kate Middleton, the wife of Prince William of England, used hypnobirthing for all 3 of her kids. Best medical care, used hypnosis instead. One of my mentors had a guy who had like severe back issues. A truck driver, so he'd get worse and worse over the day, get more and more pain. So he changed the sensation of pain from pain to heat. So instead of his back being more painful, got more and more warm. So he knew it was time to take a break, but it wasn't a distressing experience because it was warmth rather than pain. So why not change the way we process emotional pain? Nobody says I can't. And when we change pain, emotional pain from pain into questions, something really interesting happens. Number one, these emotions you're feeling are just your mind saying, hey, I'm trying to solve a particular problem. I'm up against a particular kind of challenge. I need your help to navigate it. I need your help figuring stuff out, which is what it's trying to do. Given who I am, how things are, how the heck am I supposed to deal with this kind of thing? Which means you don't have to avoid it. Doesn't trigger the survival centers of your brain anymore. much easier to engage with, right? And all these negative feelings are actually helping you figure out what the problem is. And the hardest part of solving any problem is figuring out what the heck the problem is in the first place. So if these negative emotions help you narrow down that helps you figure that thing out much faster. But also means they don't come from wounds anymore, right? No pain, no wound. So you don't have to heal anything. You don't have to play whack-a-mole anymore. You can deal with the label on the box instead, right? And it's not caused by trauma. Because every emotion is just your own interpretation of things, right? So it's not done to you. You're not a victim anymore.
Yeah, and I'll just take as an example. One of my ex-wives, I really did not. Anytime I had to deal with this woman, I would get sick to my stomach, heartburn, agitated, just because I didn't want to deal with her. And then until I learned that, hey, you don't have to go home to this woman tonight when you're done with this. You don't have to deal with her other than this half hour that you're. And once I got that through my head, now it's no issue. I still don't look forward to it, but it doesn't bother me like it did.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and again, if she's that big of a source of like pain and suffering and distress and chaos, then yeah, of course you want to avoid it. Of course you want to stay away from that as much as possible. And as soon as you can tell yourself, it's like, that's not a worry anymore. Okay. That's all that pressure off. I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to plan for that. I don't have to compensate and go for that anymore. Right.
Yeah. And once both our kids turned 18, it kind of went away. I still have 100%. To deal with her, but it's not on that level.
Exactly. So the question from my mind is like, okay, so what was it about you that, what button was getting pushed? What was it saying about you that you had to be involved with this one? What was it saying about you that stuff was being done to you? Right. Because a lot of it's like, okay, I'm not enforcing my boundaries. I don't deserve to do that. There's something wrong with me. I'm not good enough to not have to deal with this and tolerate this stuff anymore. Or I don't have power and control of the situation. Right. Feeling powerless, feeling like you're not control. Okay, that's going to really push a lot of buttons. Right. So if we can deal with those kind of underlying ideas and underlying assumptions, well, that's not going to trigger you as much because there's no buttons to push anymore.
Okay.
Right.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Okay,
I got a question. Go ahead, Stephen.
Oh, thank you. From at Hasselback for Life, hypnosis and peak performance. How does hypnosis help in unlocking peak mental performance? And can anyone benefit from it? Thank you, Hasselback for Life.
Yeah. Well, first, let's answer that second question first. There's an idea like some people are resistant or can't be hypnotized. I don't personally believe that, except for like rare exceptions. It's more a question of like, do you want to do the dance? Are you willing to allow me to lead you through that process? Right. Because if you're willing to do the dance, if you're willing to let me lead you there, then we can get you there and get you through that process. As far as it helps peak mental performance, if you think about this, if there's friction between you and your mind, if you guys are at war, if there's distrust, how can you function as a unified team? You really can't. And fundamentally, that means it doesn't really trust your leadership in a lot of ways, right? And you don't trust it to execute on your plans, right? So how can you actually build an effective team where everybody's on the same page if there's that distrust, if there's that disconnection? So a lot of ways, what I'm doing to try and clear out that stuff and get everybody on the same page, same understanding about who you are, about how the world works, to clear out all those old misconceptions. And by the way, by teaching your mind what these different questions are when you're feeling those emotions, you get to process those on a different level, right? Because it doesn't have to ask the boss all the time for help if you can get that help at a different level, at a lower level, because you can give yourself what you need to can actually coordinate those teams. So now all the teams down there are on the same page. They can coordinate together better. If emotions are no longer pain, then you can't really suffer mentally or emotionally, so the stress goes down. Doesn't have to ask you for stuff as much, so that mental load, the mental stress, the mental, the emotional stuff that bubbles up doesn't happen nearly as much. Anything that does come up is something you actually need to deal with, but because you're actually listening, your mind doesn't have to yell at you as much, so the intensity of the emotions aren't as much. So there's so much stuff that's no longer in your way. And if everybody's on the same team, moving the same direction, on the same page of music, well, all the resources you have available are being used towards your goal, right? The other thing is this, if you can only train until you only train or work until you get like sore and tired, right? The amount of discomfort and suffering you can withstand physically is kind of like your limit to do physical work, right? But if emotions aren't pain, your capacity to do mental and emotional work is essentially infinite. Right. So then it becomes a question of how long do I want to work now? How hard can I work? So you solve problems faster because you figure them out faster. Everybody goes on board with the same mission, pull in the same direction. The internal friction is gone, and you can work as long as you want to on whatever problem you're going after. So stuff basically starts to become, well, pretty much inevitable. Right? If it's possible for you to figure out and loan or with somebody else, you're going to. It's just a matter of time. And you can keep going for as long as you want to.
Okay. And without those distractions
without distractions and everything else. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Think about this.
around my head with my attention deficit disorder.
Yeah, 100%. Well, like that might be a chemical thing. Like I have ADHD, so I've got to take medication to keep me on track. Can't hypnosis that away. But all the other stuff that drives the distractions, right? All the, I got to be playing video games because I don't want to do this, and distractions because I don't want to be coping with this, and I got this stress here because this person's saying this stuff, and yada, yada, yada. All that stuff goes away, right? It's hard to push your buttons if you don't have any buttons to push.
Okay. I can get down with that.
Yeah.
Misfit Nation, we welcome you to type in any more questions and or call in. We've got plenty of time to answer all questions. Got another one.
How's your military encounters and expensive shoot the way approach That's an excellent question. That's an excellent question. So, first thing I went through the Marine Corps. And one of the most beautiful things about that experience is it really teaches you that sometimes you just have to freaking do the thing. That whole idea of embrace the suck is just so beautiful, right? Yes, it sucks. Yes, it's painful. Yes, you're going to be cold. Yes, you're going to be wet. Do it anyway. We don't care. Right. And so just that willingness just to do the stuff, even when it sucks, that's number one. Number two, there's a certain point which you're like, I refuse to fail at this. Right. This is like do or die. And that's kind of when I started that thing. It's like, I have to figure this out or put a little in my head. There's just like no other option. Right. And that refusal to accept failure is also a big part of that military military service, right? Because sometimes it just has to be done. And it doesn't matter what kind of price you have to pay. It just has to be done. Right. And so having that ethos and that understanding of like, I will pay whatever price necessary to accomplish this, really, really helpful when you're going after that stuff. As far as the counterterrorism and intelligence stuff, like that's really where that whole figuring things out comes in, right? Because the whole point is let me figure out something that somebody doesn't want me to know. It's trying to hide it, right? And I got to put the pieces of that puzzle together to figure out what's happening, map out that system, map out that network so I can figure out how to break it. What was I doing in my head? You don't want to show me stuff. Fair enough. I'm going to go dig it anyway. Asking the right question, put the pieces of the puzzle together, figuring out how that system works. Great. Where are the vulnerabilities? Where are the gaps? How do I break that thing apart? How do I build it together in other ways, right? And really my intelligence work was just weaponize my autism in a lot of ways, because in order to freaking navigate the world, I had to figure out how people and society and everything worked, because what you guys told me doesn't work for me. Right. Okay. So I had to reverse engineer how people worked, reverse engineer the rules of the game. So I've been doing that my entire life. And you put me in a space where I'm doing intel work, and that's what I do against targets who are really hard with really high impact stuff. Like that weaponizes that talent. And I just aim that at people's heads and their behavior and their problems.
All right. And hey, I got to put out there, sure. Bama Sucks 256. I dig that screen name. I dig your handle, man. And I could not agree more.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I hypnotize Stephen or Jake while talking to them here? Do you guys want to get hypnotized?
I do not.
Fair enough. Fair enough. The answer is yes, I could if they wanted to play the game. They don't want to play the game, so no, I can't.
Clementine 4, no. That if that ever happens, it will be in a private setting. Yeah. I
don't worry. If I'm not going to make you cluck like a chicken, I charge extra for that. That seems stupid to me. So I'd rather do something useful.
Go ahead, Steven. Say something.
No.
Say, make Jake take his pants off.
No.
I don't really want to see that, so no.
No, that'd be a hard one. That's kind of a joke between us.
I don't want to know that it's a hard one. I really don't.
Because, Steven's always joking about how I don't wear pants when I'm on the air. So,
yeah.
But I do.
Thank God. Thank God.
That's what he's telling you, just to make you feel better.
Yeah. Well, we don't need him to stand up to confirm. It's okay. We can trust him that much. I'm sure.
All right, we got another question. Mom of Stacy, 46. Breaking mental barriers. You work with people to uncover limiting beliefs. That's one of the most common mental blocks you've helped clients overcome.
Yeah. So fundamentally, if you had a rough childhood,
Thank
things
you,
are rough whenever things are young, you're having a hard time when things are young, you're trying to figure out how to navigate things. You're kind of stuck in this no-win situation, right? Just kind of is the way it is. And fundamentally, there is a particular set of beliefs that come out of it that's pretty much universal when we're talking about these high-level conclusions. There's something wrong with me because I can't figure it out. Therefore, I'm not good enough. Therefore, I don't deserve. Right? That is pretty much the universal set of like overarching conclusions we come to when we're kind of stuck in that situation. Now, how we get to that, the stories we tell to get to there, that's a very individual thing. So the process is, let's figure out those stories and that set of conclusions that made you draw that conclusion, right? There's something wrong with me. Why? Well, stuff just never works for me. It doesn't matter how much I try. I always get it wrong. Fair enough, right? So if you're trying a bunch of stuff, nothing works, it's easy to start feeling like it's your fault. But one of the things I'd like to use, and I talk about this in the book, is this idea of the game that cannot be won, right? Because if you're trying stuff and nothing works, it's kind of like you're playing a game where the rules are always changing, the goalposts are always moving, right? Where what's good enough one day just isn't good enough the next, right? Well, if you're playing that kind of game, the rules are always changing, the goalposts are always moving, then there's really no way to win that game, is there? Right? Not really, right? You know, you could be the most amazing, most awesome man on the planet, and you still can't win that game because everything's changing, right? So if you cannot win a game that cannot be won, does that actually tell you anything about yourself or how good you are?
No.
Not really.
I should quit playing games that you can't win.
Yeah, but when you're a kid stuck at home, you don't have that option, do you?
No.
Right. Is there anything wrong with you that you cannot win a game that cannot be won? No. If the game is rigged, losing is the expected outcome. So why are you blaming yourself for not being able to make things happen? Game's rigged. Now all of a sudden, maybe there's nothing wrong with you. Maybe that's not the thing that's going on, right? If there's nothing wrong with you, now you can be good enough. If you can be good enough, now you can start to deserve it, right? And so it's walking through that process of kind of understanding how all those things come together that gets you to the other side of that. And fundamentally, the place I get my clients to, the ultimate kind of destination is a set of core beliefs that goes, there's nothing wrong with me, and there never freaking was. There's nothing to heal, and there never was. I'm good enough as I am to deserve whatever I choose, and I don't have to prove it to anybody, not even myself. Right? It's part of the reason when we're looking at emotions as pain, if your hand hurts, you're supposed to look at your hand. That's the thing that's busted. Feel emotions in here. This has got to be the problem. That's where the problem is. That's why we're always trying to fix ourselves. But you fix yourself trying to fix that all the time, never really figured it out, kind of like you're looking for a needle in a haystack. Almost impossible to do that. But even harder is to find a needle in a haystack when there's no freaking needle in a haystack. So maybe the only thing that was ever wrong was we thought that we were the problem. That kind of changes everything. And then it's like, okay, well, there's nothing wrong with me. Then I can be good enough, right? And I can deserve things. But you have to create that in a way that you don't have to measure, because if you're measuring, the answer could always be not enough. Right? Good enough as I am, deserve whatever I choose. Just hardwire that stuff to yes and be done with it. And if you do that, you don't have to prove anything to yourself anymore.
Okay.
Right? Done fix yourself, done healing yourself, good enough, deserve stuff. Just go live your life. All the problems are out there now. Go do that instead.
All right. Got another question here.
Sure.
It's from I Heart Boobies.
Mm-hmm.
Daily mind hacks. What's one simple mental technique our audience can use today to build confidence, focus, or emotional resilience? Thank you, I Heart Boobies, for that question.
So when you're looking at emotions as questions rather than pain, the best possible thing you can do is just ask one very simple question. What am I missing? What am I missing? Because your mind is trying to show you what's going on, trying to help you figure things out. So cool. Something, take a step back. What am I missing? Because if your approach was correct, if your understanding things were correct, you wouldn't be running up against a wall. You wouldn't be having problems. So something's wrong about what you're understanding your approach. Fair enough. Step back. What am I missing? Right? How's it going to increase your resilience? Well, you're not looking at things as pain anymore. So it's okay to feel bad. right? It's okay to feel stressed because it's just saying you're facing a problem. Great. So it means you're going up against the wrong thing. Great. That helps you pivot. That helps your performance, right? And as far as confidence goes, it's a heck of a lot easier to be more confident when you stop banging your head against the wall and make yourself fail all the time, right? People have this idea that confidence comes from competence. Like we gain this thing as we get better at something. And that's not actually true. Because if you're 100% competent at being you, right? Mm-hmm. So you should be 100% self-confident then, right?
Yeah, it don't always work out that
not
way.
Not so much. No. Confidence is actually losing the fear and the doubt and the uncertainty along the way. Right? So as you start asking questions of what I'm missing, guess what? You're learning and understanding yourself better, which means you're not fearing yourself and not doubting yourself anymore. You don't have that same uncertainty because you're building that connection. Right? So the confidence comes from being able to work with yourself more effectively from a much more knowledgeable standpoint and a much less judgment.
Okay. All right. And what's your thoughts on completion, like completion of a task or whatever you're doing, correct completion of a task, helping build confidence as well.
Yeah, because you're demonstrating skill and competence with something, right? Okay. And so you're actually gaining confidence in the skill, right? You're gaining confidence in that ability. But if you're talking about confidence of self, that's a different thing. Okay. You can be a phenomenal mechanic and a horrible person, an extremely insecure person, right? Okay. So they kind of go hand in hand, right? In that a lot of us will start measuring ourselves based on how good we are at something. Right? Okay. I'm a phenomenal basketball player. I'm an incredibly confident basketball player. So I'm an incredibly confident person, except for that insecurity is always there. And so this is the kind of way to bridge that gap. And
we probably see that a lot with high-level athletes and actors and actresses. Yeah. Okay.
See that in the military too, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
The platoon sergeant or platoon leader that goes out there and just rocks it when they're out doing maneuvers or whatever. And then when he gets back in garrison, he's a soup sandwich.
Yep. 100%.
Okay. Yeah. Got another question here. Forget about it. 86. Can you share a success story where hypnosis or mindset coaching made a major impact in someone's life? And thank you for that question. Forget about it. 86.
Well, my own story is one where it's like, I'm no longer suicidal, never will be. Right. So mine is a 100% success story where I'm never going to have that issue again. Right. Let's see. What's a really good one? I had one client of mine who was a successful guy. He's in mid 60s, multimillionaire. He'd had a couple of exits, built a couple of companies from scratch, exited. Right. So you think this kind of guy, is good looking, he's in shape, he's got money, charismatic. He should be pretty good at the whole dating thing. And he hated it. Sucked at it. Absolutely. Had zero confidence around women. Right. Because he didn't value himself, because he didn't like himself. So he didn't think he had anything to offer. Did some work with him. And it got to the point where women were actually approaching him in bars and hitting on him in bars, as opposed to him being nervous to approach women. Like these women are actually coming up on hitting on him, which never happens to normal people, right? You gotta have a lot of confidence. You gotta have a lot of that energy. You gotta have a lot of that presence to be able to pull that in, right? I had another guy where he's an entrepreneur, he's making about 10, 15 million a year in revenues, trying to get to that 30, 45 million mark. And he was just blocked. Why? Because he didn't deserve, he wasn't good enough. Right. So you start the self-confidence stuff, you get that worthiness in there, and all of a sudden you can just go out there and kill it.
Okay.
Right? Because there's no blocks, there's no ceiling to him anymore, because he deserves whatever he chooses. So he just gets to go out and rock and roll.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see. Oh, one last one. This is a really good one, the trauma side. I had one guy, this poor guy had been abused up until his 30s or 40s, done a lot of work with psychologists, stuff, just got nowhere. So he's coming into me with all that stuff completely unresolved, right? So it took a bit of extra work for him, but afterwards, he's more confident. He's making friends at work. He's performing better. He's actually getting out there in the world. He doesn't have that anxiety anymore. He likes who he is. His life is completely turned around because we're able to get him out of space to a place where there's nothing to heal anymore. It's not the problem. It's not him. He's strong. He's resilient.
All right.
And that's a huge change in his life.
Oh, I'm sure. I can guarantee you he is happier.
Infinitely so.
Yeah. And probably doesn't have all those old feelings that he used to have.
100%. And he's never going to end up in that hole again where he might end things.
Yes. And we're all about that here on the Misfit Nation.
Yeah.
as everybody should, we totally abhor suicide.
Yeah.
We don't want anybody to do it. We like everybody that's here today to be here tomorrow.
I agree. I agree. That's a big part of why I do what I do, because the reason we want to get into our lives is because we're in too much pain. We're suffering too much, and it doesn't seem like there's going to be an end to it.
Yes.
So from my perspective, at least from my own experience, like suicide was always an act of mercy. Like, I am done suffering, right? And part of what we're doing is like, okay, let's take care of all that trauma. But if emotions aren't pain, you can't suffer emotionally and mentally anymore. There's no reason to exit, because there's nothing left to escape. Yeah.
Go on living your best life.
100%.
Stephen, I'll pop a question up there.
Hi, thank you. I am not broken. You were diagnosed late in the cycle at 48 with autism. Do you believe it is due to the lack of knowledge of autism when you were young compared to the youth of today?
Oh, 100%.
I am not broken.
Yeah, 100%. So 2 things with that. I think that a lot of the diagnosis, there's a lot of things that cause autism-like symptoms, right? Like mold illness, like dietary issues, like gut issues can actually all cause autism-like symptoms. So I think that there's a good portion of the people that are doing diagnosed as autistic today that are not actually autistic. They've got metabolic issues or mold issues or something else, right? In my case, 100%. My brain's just wired weird. You know, I've been different since I was a kid. And again, Kansas, 1970s, 1980s, pre-internet, rural. Right. Wichita's got 300,000 people, but ain't in a big town. Right. Nobody was talking about ADHD back then. Nobody was talking about autism back then. Nobody had any idea. Nobody was even asking those questions. And the thing is, because I'm a pretty smart kid, everybody said, oh, he's just smart. That's just what it is. Right. And to some extent it was, but no, there's this entire other layer. And it wasn't actually until in June of 2023, I had an acute manic episode that ended a psychotic break, which was how I found out I was bipolar disorder. That was a surprise. It was triggered by the medication I was getting for ADHD, because I finally decided to get treated for the ADHD. But that can trigger a manic episode if you don't know you have it. So after that, it's like, okay, cool. I'm going to get a full psych workup to make sure there's no other freaking landmines in there, because that was a surprise, very unpleasant. You know, I did not like getting arrested. And it's like, oh, and by the way, you're also autistic. It's like, okay, fair enough. And that explains a lot. That explains so much about my life, right? It made so much sense, you know? And the thing is, like, knowing that is a good thing. Like, it doesn't bother me at all to consider myself autistic, right? Every autistic person's got that special thing that they're interested in. Mine happens to be people in the human mind. So part of the reason nobody can tell is because I'm so good at interacting with people, because I can't reverse engineer, because that's the thing I'm interested in the most. Right. Nobody could tell because I mask so well, because that's what I do. That's what I'm interested in. Yeah. But yeah, it's 100% lack of knowledge, 100% lack of information.
And just like anything else, this is just Jake's personal thought on everything. I've got a grandson who is severely autistic. He's mostly nonverbal, but he communicates well. But he's brilliant, and I personally think that it's not him that can't communicate with us. I don't think we can communicate with him. I think he's operating. We're here. I think he's operating up here, and that's my thought on it, because the kid is brilliant.
Well, and that kind of, you're asking earlier, like, why didn't we figure this stuff out before? Well, it takes somebody who's autistic who can make those like weird honking connections between stuff that seems completely unrelated. You know, it's one of the sort of like special things we do. Is like, we have, because we see the world so differently, and because we're not caught up in the same assumptions as the rest of you are, because they never made sense to us anyway, we can make these links and these leaps of logic that 3 other people can't. Like, that's why Elon Musk is so good at what he does, because he didn't care what the ideas of, oh, here's how batteries are. We'll see about that. Here's how rockets are. We'll see about that.
Yes.
Right? And because he can just see things from that different perspective and can make those different connections, he gets to do stuff that's impossible for everyone else. Right. So and I think he's going to do some really cool shit.
He's one of these guys that I don't know if anybody told him that he couldn't do something. And he's like, yeah, I'll show you. Because I personally think, I don't think that there's probably not anything that the man cannot do.
He's an incredibly talented guy. Like, everybody's got limits. So his autistic thing is like, what? Engineering, technology.
Yeah.
Always was. Right. So he's never going to be able to do what I did, but I can't do what he can. Right. And he's never going to be a politician. That's never going to happen.
Oh,
he's never gonna be like a super talented dancer, but like, you put anything technological in front of him, like, stand by.
Yeah.
Good luck.
He can build a robot that would be a super talented dancer.
100%. Yeah, he probably will. He probably will. I bet Optimus has beaten people in breakdance competitions within about 3 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. We're kind of getting a little close to our time here. I want to pop it up. www.ryanthehypnotist.com. Tell us a little bit about your book and where we can get it.
Sure. The book is called Winner Peace, kind of like Inner Peace, but Winner Peace, because I don't think you should have to choose between success and inner peace. It's how to end in a conflict and make success inevitable. Everything we're talking about today in terms of getting you that place, nothing wrong with me, nothing to heal, good enough, don't have to prove it. That book is designed to get you there as best I can in a book form.
All right. Okay. So Winner Peace on
Amazon.
RyanTheHypnotist.com. Now, if people want to contact you, can they get you through your website or?
Yes, indeed.
All right.
Yes, indeed.
There's a way to contact.
For a free 45-minute consultation, we'll sit down, take a look at what's going on in your life. We talk about how I'll tell you why things are working the way they are and why things haven't changed for you. We can talk about how to get you on the other side of all that.
All right. That sounds great. Now, we ask something of all of our guests before we leave. What are 3 non-negotiables that you have every day that your day is not complete unless you do them?
Ooh. Number 1 is gratitude.
Okay. Gratitude.
100% gratitude. Number 2 is learning something new.
Okay.
Being curious about the world, right? And number 3 is connection.
All right.
Connection with somebody, talking to somebody, getting on the phone with somebody, going out to the freaking bar and having a sandwich at the bar. Just anything. Just get out, be around people.
All right. So we have gratitude. We have learn something new and connection. Great things to live by. Great things. Misfit Nation, we thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you for the questions. We love you. Remember, if you're feeling the darkness, if you feel like you can't handle it anymore, dial 998 or 988, take option 1 and talk to somebody. And our emails are in the chat. If you don't like the person you're talking to there, email me. I'll send you my phone number.
Me too.
I'll listen to you. I don't have anything else to do but to listen to you. So give me a call and we'll get this worked out, because we want to see you here tomorrow, Misfit Nation, because we love you.
Thank you, everybody. Ryan,
thanks
thank you.
On, guys.
The chat was great. I got a lot running through my head right now, though. This is fantastic.
Outstanding. Glad I could.
It was very good chat tonight. And
there's a joke in there somewhere, Stephen.
No, there's not a joke in there.
There's a lot running around in your head because there's a lot of room there.
Well, thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Ryan. You have a wonderful evening. And if you write another book, look us up and we'll get you on here.
Absolutely. Be more than happy to come on back.
All righty. Thank you, Misfit Nation.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Did you serve in the military? If so, you can obtain a free lifetime pass to more than 2,000 federal recreation sites. These sites are located across more than 400 million acres of public lands, including national parks, wildlife refuges, and forests. The lands host activities to fit any lifestyle: hiking, biking, fishing, camping, and much more. Gold Star families are also eligible for these free lifetime passes. Plus, they cover entrance fees for a driver and all passengers in a car, or up to 3 additional adults at sites that charge per person. Obtaining one is easy. Just go to the National Park Service website, nps.gov, or the National Park Service app.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling, because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.